All right, guys. Now I'm abroad, so please bear with. I am in Morocco. I don't have my usual setup, so hopefully the sound's okay. Hopefully the Wi-Fi is okay. Loads has happened in the world of boxing since me and G-Man last filmed, so it's only right that the show must go on, regardless of the situation and where we are. The show must go on. Even just in the last 20 minutes, news has broken, and we're going to get to that as well. But before we do that, G-Man, how are you, my man?
I'm very good. I mean, I wish I was you. You're in Morocco, of all places, which I'm sure it's lovely over there.
Yeah, you know what it is? I just wanted a little break. As soon as they announced that the Atalma fight was off, I was like, okay, 1 second. So I've got a few days here where I can just chill, relax, and not do much. So yeah, I thought, why not go to Morocco?
If you think about it like this, right, you're one of the busiest men in boxing, right? So especially over Christmas, you were here, there, everywhere. So when a weekend comes kind of unexpectedly free, you got to take advantage, don't you?
Yeah, and that's exactly what I've done. So again, guys, I do apologize if this might free sometimes, if the mic sound might kind of go and left and right. But again, we are just trying to make this work. And obviously I'll be back next week and it'll be business as normal next week. But let's dive straight in. I think the big news over
Mhm.
the last 4 or 5 days has been this Derek Chisora versus Deontay Wilder Misfits Pro Sky Sports pay-per-view. I saw your video. What do you make of all of it first? I'll let you have the floor on this and I'll kind of put in my 2 pence.
It's just all come out of the blue, out of nowhere. I mean, literally, you interviewed Alexander Usyk just before the new year at the Ring 5, and he was like, Wilder next. We were hearing that IVB thing, I Visit Boxing. They were kind of alluding to Wilder Chisora. And then this just breaks out of the blue. You see them FaceTime one another. You see Chisora signing a contract, and you're thinking, okay, Frank Warren will probably be promoting on the zone. And then you're hearing Sky and the Daily Mail were saying that. You're like, what? Where's all this coming from? The fight itself, I actually really like the fight. They're both at a similar stage in their career. Chisora's in much better form than Wilder, so I don't mind the fight, but it's just like, where did this all come from? It seemed like it was a slam dunk. Wilder was fighting Usyk, and Chisora was, more likely going to fight Wardley. I mean, now you've got Usyk and Wardley kind of like, what do we do now? Because the guys who wanted to fight are fighting each other. It's crazy.
Yeah, I find it crazy as well. And I find it crazy how quick it's like come about and how quick
Mm.
it's been made. I did remember seeing the face off that they did at the IBA boxing event, and I thought that was all just a bit of fun. We're
So
going to
that,
face off because you know what? Why not? Why not face off? Because
yeah.
who knows what could happen. But then as soon as Usyk kind of puts his hat in the ring and says, I want to fight Wilder, I was like, okay, that's it then. If Usyk wants to
Hmm.
fight Wilder, Usyk's the unified champ, is a big name. And if you're Wilder, you're thinking jackpot. I've got a chance of becoming a world champion again and making my biggest check. I said this a few weeks back. I said no one wants this fight, the Usyk Wilder fight, because Usyk wants a lot of money, and I don't think too many people had invested in Wilder. Usyk's gone around and tried to sell that fight, I think, to everyone, either to
Hmm.
boxing, Zuffa, Riyadh season, and I think everyone's like, no. I then think Chisora has seen a window and is like, oh, 1 second, let me see if I can sell Chisora versus Wilder. He's probably tried to sell it to DAZN. DAZN are like, no. Let's not forget he is best friends with KSI. So this
Hmm.
Misfits Pro thing makes a bit more sense. He can directly go to KSI and say, okay, look, do you guys want to do this? And I
And
think
if you
they're like,
think,
okay, let's do it.
yeah, and if you think about it like this, it kind of fits in with Misfits and KSI, doesn't it? Because they're
Yeah.
both characters. Like Wilder is a character, Chisora is a character. They're both larger than life characters, and the Misfits, that's just made for it. Not in a disrespectful way; they're better than that. But you know what I mean? It just kind of has that Misfitsy kind of feel to it. You can see a bit of chaos at press conferences and everything.
Yeah. It's almost it's almost like a perfect platform for there to be as much chaos and craziness as possible. And Misfits would welcome that craziness, whereas others might kind of, sneer towards it. I think Misfits are like, this is exactly what we want. Give us the opportunity to sell this and watch how we sell it. And yeah, they've decided to do it. Sky have obviously decided we'll put it on, which is
Hmm.
interesting. Again, which shows that Sky were never really out of the boxing business, more the Ben Shalom business, but also
Hmm.
shows that they're open to pay-per-view events. It just makes me feel like we're in a weird space with boxing at the moment, G-Man. Like, I've never felt so like I don't know what's going on. Like I'm like I have no idea what's happening right now.
Yeah, boxing's always been a sport where like you kind of know what's going to happen. Like, even when something seems that it's not going to happen, you kind of feel like it will. Like Usyk Fury, this time 3 years ago, we didn't kind of know, but you kind of knew it was always going to happen. Whereas now
Yeah,
it's like one guy says this is definitely happening. You don't hear anything from the other guy, and then all of a sudden, not only is it a completely different fight, it's on a completely different network. And you're just kind of like, well,
yeah,
how the hell did that happen?
yeah. And I think it shows how crazy it is that again, Alexander Usyk, unified champ, who's been in enormous fights over the last 3, 4 years, can't get the Wilder fight. So he's called out Wilder, literally screamed it out to everyone that would listen, and Chisora somehow has got the Wilder fight before Alexander Usyk. I can only put that down to pounds and pence. Chisora's price is a lot cheaper than Usyk's price, and Usyk's decided he wants a bit too much money, I think.
Well, it's not just that, right? I think that if Alexander Usyk wanted to fight someone who was a name, but still had something about them, where you look at Usyk Wilder, there's no way Wilder wins that fight. He's in terrible
Yeah,
form. It's such a hard sell. Whereas when you look at Chisora Wilder, that's a much easier sell because Chisora is not the best heavyweight in the world by no stretch. They're near the same point in their career. The winner can stay on. And at the end of the day, they both have that kind of, you just see them together and you're thinking, that's just going to be chaos. They're larger than life characters. With Usyk Wilder, it will probably be very respectful. You know who's going to win the fight. And that's it. So it's a hard sell. It'd be a much easier sell if you were saying like Alexander Usyk versus Filip Hrgovic or someone like that.
yeah.
Where like you're like, okay, yeah, we don't know how that might go. We think Usyk will win, but Hrgovic's game. Neither are really characters, but we'll watch it. Wilder's just like, well, he's been knocked out what twice in his last couple of fights.
Yeah, but then it almost, and by the way, you're correct. I agree completely. But then it almost seems as though Alexander Usyk's team are not realizing their mistake and doing exactly the same thing again by touting this Ruiz fight now. Now we're
Oh
hearing about
god, yeah.
Andy Ruiz, which is worse than Wilder. I mean, Andy Ruiz has had
Arguably,
3 fights in 7 years. And I'm like, are you just desperate to fight an American in America? Like, are we not learning from the Wilder issue? No one wants it.
I don't get it. I don't get why. You see, for me, right, he vacated that WBO title rather than face Fabio Wardley because he wanted to fight someone like a Deontay Wilder, right? Well, now that fight's gone. So why don't you face Fabio Wardley now? He was your mandatory. He's got no opponent lined up. He's got no mandatories. Why don't you just go for undisputed again or something like that? Fight a young contender who is, a bit reckless, but we know it'll be good. Why are you cherry picking these like faded champions? Like Andy Ruiz, as you say, the last time he fought, he was 2 years almost ago, and he drew that fight. He hasn't had a win in nearly 4 years. He's in terrible form. He's arguably worse than Wilder, as you say. What the hell?
Yeah, I almost feel like Usyk's going to be forced now to. I don't think he necessarily cares about vacating belts, but if he wants a fight, he's going to be forced down the route of Caballero or Wardley because they're the only ones where people are going to put up something remotely close to what he wants. I think Caballero can put together a price to get Usyk to Germany. That'll be on the DAZN pay-per-view. And I think Wardley and Frank Warren and Spencer Brown can put a fee together. Sorry, it's not Spencer Brown, apologies. It's Dillian White's team, isn't it? I think they can put a fee together to get Usyk to a stadium fight in the UK. I think he will fight Wardley or Caballero. I can't see anything else now.
I hope so. I really hope so. And to be honest with you, mate, they're the two fights that I just want to see him in. Like at this point now, I'm kind of like, I'm not really going to accept anything else. Like I'm not going to accept Ruiz, not going to accept Wilder. Wardley is a current champion. You could have fought him. He was your mandatory. Why not fight him? Huge fight in the UK, big stadium fight. And Caballero, well, he's WBO interim for how long? So he's your mandatory. So there you go. You either unify or you fight your mandatory. I am not accepting anything else at this point.
Agreed. I mean, Usyk's got so much credit in the bank, but that credit will only go so low when I go to the rankings, and it doesn't go as far as Andy Ruiz and Deontay Wilder. Very quickly, back to Chisora-Wilder. There's been a lot of talk about a stadium for that. Is that a stadium fight?
I'm going to go out and say, yeah, it is. I think for Chisora, they were billing it as his last fight, but he's kind of been hinting that if he wins, he'll stay on. So they might try and bill it as his last fight, but I reckon that could do Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I reckon.
Wow, really?
Yeah, no, I genuinely believe that Chisora is such a big name in British boxing. I mean, he's just such a huge name. I think people underestimate how big he is. And Wilder, I think the fact that he hasn't fought in the UK since 2013, but he's still known to the public. People know him from the rivalry with Anthony Joshua. They know him from the Fury fights. And I think for the majority of casual fans, they won't really care if he's coming in off the back of terrible form. They're just going to look at that and think, Chisora, Wilder, I'm in.
Yeah. What Chisora's got to pray and hope for, and it might even be a personal phone call, is that Fury doesn't try and have a comeback fight in and around this fight. Because I think all of a sudden, all the attention will be on Tyson Fury, and fans will, I think if they've got to choose, as much as they do want to see Wilder Chisora, I think people are very intrigued about a Fury comeback, and Fury's a bigger star than Chisora. So you'd almost hope that if you're Chisora, Fury comes back after you or way before you, as opposed to in and around you. So I think that could really dictate whether or not this is a stadium. I think it's close. Like if there was a really good 35,000 seater stadium, I think it does that. 65,000 is a push unless something crazy happens at the presser or the face-off or something.
With these two guys, something crazy could happen at the presser and the face-off. You know that. Like Derek Chisora, he's so erratic. Like if he's quiet, you're kind of like, right, there's something up there, because he's always coming out with something and he can get under someone's skin. I tend to agree with what you said about Tyson Fury, though. The fact that he's been posting so many clips of himself in training, people want to see Tyson Fury. They do. They want to see him come back, especially now that he's been so active on social media, that if he makes an announcement, I'm fighting the end of April, that's going to take precedent. And there's no ifs or buts. It's going to take precedent, no matter who it's against.
Yeah, I don't know if you're aware, but Tyson Fury has clipped up a couple of your vids with me. I put it up on his social media, like 2. So he's obviously a big fan of you, G-Man. You know what's crazy, actually, about that is there was a Q&A question, or someone asked it to me and said, why is G-Man such a hater of Tyson Fury? And I was like, you must be crazy. And this goes to show how much of a non-hater you are, that you've praised Tyson Fury twice and he's clipped you up twice and put it on his own Insta story.
There you go. I always say, right, if a fighter gives me a reason to criticize them, like Usyk chasing Deontay Wilder, I'll do that. But at the same time, when they give me chances to praise them, you won't see anyone praise them as much as I will.
Yeah.
It's always been my way.
Always the way, and always the best way as well. How many pay-per-view buys does Chisora-Wilder do?
That's a good question. Well, if Usyk Chisora can do 1 million in the UK, I don't see why Chisora-Wilder can't. Because it did do
Chisora-Wilder does 1 million.
If Usyk, and bear in mind, that's not the Usyk who fought AJ. That's the Usyk prior to that, where he was still only really known from Tony Bellew. If that can do 1 million, I don't see why this can't. Seriously, I don't see why it can't. That did 1 million. Yes. Did 1 million on Sky Sports. That was during the behind closed doors time where sport was a bit scarce, so maybe that played a part in it. But if that can do 1 million, then I'm sure this can.
No, I completely disagree.
Okay.
Like, I'd be astounded if this gets over 200,000 pay-per-view buys.
No. It's doing way more than that.
We can do our friendly, as we do, use a bottle of something. We can do a bottle of something, and you can have your bottle. I can choose mine. But there's no way this gets past 200. I think the idea of someone doing 1 million now is literally, that's only reserved for Fury, AJ, maybe. Anything else other than that, I just don't see anyone getting close to that. Nobody.
But 200K, that is for Chisora and Wilder.
That's a huge amount of pay-per-view buys. Huge.
I'm not having that. I reckon it's going to do well. I reckon it would absolutely night and day over 200K. It's not even going to be close to it. And I say that now. You can snip it. You can snip that up, and I will. If I lose, I will hold the L. But it's going to be way over that. Way over.
This might be the biggest L you've ever held in your life. All right, let's.
I've held many.
Let's stick to the heavyweight division. Someone that's been linked with a fight with Derek Chisora, at least Chisora has been linked with a fight with him, is Daniel Dubois. And this news literally broke 20 minutes before we both jumped on air to do this. Daniel Dubois has reversed his decision to leave Don Charles and has gone back to Don Charles after flirting with Tony Sims for the last 3 or 4 months. Make of this what you will.
The only thing I can think of is that Tony Sims, a bit like Mark Tibbs, because remember he trained with him very briefly, never had a fight with him. They've gone to train with Dubois. They like what they see. But his dad and other members of his team are trying to, no, this is what we want to do. This is what we want to do. And I reckon it's either one of two things. Either Tony Sims has told them, this is how I'm going to do it. If you don't like it, there's the door. Or they've just said, we don't like this. Tony Sims is asking too many questions. Don Charles didn't do anything, didn't ask any questions. Let's just go back to him. It's one of
Yeah,
those
you
two
know what?
things.
There's a couple of good points, and it could be either one of those, by the way. And I think both of those are really, really good thoughts, because I can imagine Tony Sims saying it's my way or the highway, and just not accepting any other interference into his fight camp. There are many other good fighters in there that he would love to spend time with, and it's a busy camp. If you're not going to listen to what I'm going to say, then goodbye. I can almost see it being a bit like that, actually.
Exactly that. And I look back to what happened on the day of that Usyk fight, where they had that big party. Not for the first time they've done that, apparently. And Don Charles just essentially kind of letting that happen. Now, if it was Tony Sims, Mark Tibbs, Shane McGuigan, they would probably go to the house themselves and probably pull Dubois out of that house and say, not on my watch. Because they are trainers who they don't. No knock on Don Charles, but Don Charles has only recently, in the last couple of years, with Dubois largely, got into that kind of big time trainer role. Whereas, Tony Sims has had AJ, he's got Conor Ben, he's got Craig Richards, and he needs to pay attention to those as well. He can't be, as you say, well, we want you to do this with Dubois. It's like, no, it's my gym. I decide how it's done. So I think they've looked and they've thought, you know what, with Don Charles, it was easy. He let us do our own thing. And that's what they want. I think Team Dubois just want a trainer who's kind of there just as the kind of, camera piece. Don Charles is the trainer in front of the camera, but we're pulling the strings behind the scenes. And that's what they want. They don't want a trainer who's going to train them.
I think you've been a bit harsh on Don. I think Don's been a top echelon. Yeah, I do. I think Don's been, look at some of the fights that Derek Chisora had under Don, where Don's been a top echelon trainer. He fought Vitaly Klitschko. He fought David Haye, which did incredible numbers. Like, he's been in some real big fights alongside Derek Chisora. And then there's other fighters as well, obviously not to that level, but Frank Buglioni, European title fight.
Yes,
he's had good fighters in that camp as well. I do understand the narrative you're spinning here. Maybe Don was a bit more receptive to some of the stuff that Stan did, as opposed to these other trainers allowing it. But look, I think they made a big mistake in leaving Don in the first place. Why leave a trainer that's guided you to a world title and your best ever career wins? It made no sense. And because he lost to Alexander Usyk, you've decided to up ship and go? It makes no sense. So I think ultimately they've got to the right decision. But I think it's a bit of a piss take to leave Don and then come back to Don.
Yeah, I think it's ridiculous. I think that you're only talking, 4 months ago, you leave Don Charles. And bear in mind, you've lost to Usyk. This isn't like, you went in there, Don Charles gave you some bad advice against a little nobody who you just took as a kind of interim fight. You've lost to the best heavyweight of this era. And there's no shame in that. That's just Usyk beats everybody. So to leave Don Charles after, and again, Jarrell Miller, Filip Hrgovic, Anthony Joshua, that run of form that you did under Don Charles, to just say, I see you later. Nah, man. No, I didn't like the way they left him. Now, again, they went to Tony Sims, who's a top trainer, but I didn't like the way they left him. And, well, evidently they've seen the error of their ways and they've gone back to him.
It's interesting as well. I almost feel like that Tony Sims' gym, I don't know if you've seen it, it's very, very busy. There are so many fighters in that gym, and not just so many fighters, but so many very good fighters in that gym. Guys coming up, guys at the top level. Obviously Johnny Fisher's there now, Conor Ben, Craig Richards, George Liddard, you can go on and on and on, right? Jimmy Sains, there's loads there. But you think of what Don Charles had, and it almost was as though the gym was built for Daniel Dubois. Don't get me wrong, there's other fighters in there, but nothing to Daniel Dubois' caliber. So it's almost like Daniel Dubois was the main man in Don Charles' gym, and I do wonder if he just wants that to be the main man again, as opposed to Tony Sims' gym, where he's not the main man. That could be Conor Ben, that could be someone else, you know what I mean? So maybe it's a case of, I want to go back to where I'm thought of first and I'm thought of only.
And if you think about it like this, right, not only was he with Tony Sims, Shane McGuigan, and Mark Tibbs, all of them have very, very busy gyms. Whereas they've gone to Don Charles, who, as you say, I think he's up in northwest London. Yeah, he's got the likes of Tony Yoka and people like that, but Daniel he's the main guy. He's the main priority in that gym. And I think, as you say, Team Dubois probably thought, you know what, as good as Tony Sims is, it's between Daniel, it's between, Conor Ben, Craig Richards, Johnny Fisher. He has to delegate his time between them all equally. Whereas Don can just pretty much be 90, 95% right, Daniel.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they do now because
Hmm.
I thought a Daniel Dubois fight was imminent. Imminent, sorry. I thought it was going to be a Zhili Zhang announcement. If you're Don, you're like, well, 1 second, I've not had any time with him, so I
Hmm.
need some time with him. So maybe all the things that I built in him have kind of been unbuilt. Maybe I've got to kind of really rebuild it, if you like. So whereas I thought Daniel Dubois could be out in the next couple of months, I do wonder now if that might be postponed. Now he's gone back with Don.
I don't think so. I think the
Mm.
fact is that think of how much can you really get? So like Dubois announced that split 4 or 5 months ago, but he didn't go
Yeah,
straight into camp with Tony Sims. Could he really have, picked up or lost kind of what Don Charles taught him in such a short space of time? I reckon Don will have a look at him and say, right, you're pretty much as you were when, we last trained together. Let's go full steam ahead. Like this
yeah.
split never happened.
Yeah, I hope it is the case. I hope that we are seeing like he needs to be fighting now. So
Yeah,
hopefully it
yeah.
is a big one. I mean, Sam Jones and his team and his manager, they've been talking a big game. Let's hope there is a Zhili Zhang announcement, or maybe like fuck it, Fabio Wardley Cabiao announcement in the next few weeks. I mean,
Oh, don't even
let's go.
tease me with that, man.
Let's go. But
Don't
dude, he
tease
could
with
chin them
Fabio.
both. He could chin them both. They could beat
Yep.
him, but he could also beat them. Like those are two 50-50 fights for me against Cabial or Wardley. That's how highly I rank and rate Daniel Dubois.
Yeah, if Damien Kiba is hitting you and he's, cutting you, God forbid, I don't even want to know what Daniel Dubois can do if he does that.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. All right, let's talk Zuffa Boxing, the new
Hmm.
players in the game. I find all of this fascinating just because what my idea of what Zuffa Boxing was 4 or 5 months ago has completely changed. I
Hmm.
I I, I actually think they could take over. They have the power of Turkey, they have the power of Dana White, and they have the power of Nick Khan. So that means they've got 3 billionaires basically. They've got more money than sense, and they're all
Hmm.
coming together. And now I'm hearing about they tried to sign Jesse Bam Rodriguez. Obviously,
Yep.
we know Usyk spoke to them. They've obviously got Jaya Pataya. I thought they were only going to go for Callum Walsh type fighters. It now seems as though they're going to go for anyone and everyone.
Well, originally, as you say, that's what it seemed like. They wanted to get the blue chip prospects that maybe were a bit lesser known, that are good, but you don't hear too much about them. Whereas now they're just going straight for the jugular. As you say, Bam Rodriguez, I know he's re-signed at Matchroom. Usyk, Jaya Pataya, who's fighting on March 8. And they also have the platform of UFC. This fight card on
Yeah.
Friday was the night before Paddy Pimblett, Justin Gaethje. So on their biggest events, they can run their Zuffa Boxings either the night before or the night after. So it's just marketing. It's incredible. But Dana White, man, he is not playing. I think he's obviously decided, right, boxing is different to MMA, UFC. These guys want money. People want eyes on the sport. Turkey wants eyes on the sport. I'm the guy to do it. Right, let's go. Let's get these big names. Let's get any big name I can get, and he's getting big names. Let's get them with Zuffa. And I have to say, the event as a whole was all right. I thought the main event was a bit laxed, but that's the first show.
Mm.
He's got plenty. There's plenty of stuff coming, and he's got shows lined up for February and March. So there's a lot
Yeah.
coming from Zuffa.
If I'm Eddie, if I'm Oscar, I don't know
Be
what bottom
afraid.
top rank are doing with their fighters. Not necessarily be afraid, but I will literally lock down all my fighters now. Like, do you want to be with me? This isn't a fight by fight thing anymore. We need to sign 4 or 5 fight deals. It literally has to happen because Eddie's got all these stars, and Oscar and Bob, they've
Hmm.
got these stars, but it almost seems as though these stars can jump ship at any time. Like, oh no, I'm ready. None of these stars are committing to long-term deals, especially the
Hmm.
big names. And if they go over to Zuffa, who might be lured in because of the Turkey relationship, that could be where they go. I would be afraid if I'm these promoters because Turkey has now a built-in relationship with all these fighters because he's worked with them on Riyadh season. He has direct contact with them, and I think they will get paid. I don't think this is. Robert Garcia said the other day that his fighters are happy on Zuffa and they're getting paid. He actually said they're getting paid 3 or 4 times more than they were getting in their previous promotion. So these fighters are getting paid. Don't believe what people are saying about them not getting paid. I
So
think
there
I
you
think
go.
this is a problem.
Well, if that's true, then oh boy, we do have a problem. And as you say, if Eddie Hearn's been known for doing the 3 fight deals, 2 fight deals, they'll be a thing of the past if that's the case. Because if they're here and Zuffa Boxing are paying their fighters this much, if they're getting them active, think of how many shows he has lined up already. And that's one of the problems, like with Matchroom and stuff, and Golden Boy in particular, not enough shows. If he has plenty of shows, if he's paying them well, if you're a fighter and you're 2 fights into a 3-fight deal, you aren't even listening to what Eddie or Oscar are saying. You're saying, hello, Dana, what do you got for me?
This would be, if I'm Eddie right now, and Frank, and Bob, and Oscar, this is the time when egos are put aside and we start a working relationship, a proper working relationship. An example will be this Boots and Virgil situation. Like, this is the time for there not to be any stumbling. This is the time for, okay, let's make this fight. Let's show that we can do it without any other outside influence or money, and let's work together. Because if not, I'm telling you now, fighters are going to be getting itchy fingers, itchy feet, and I'm telling you now, managers will be picking up the phone call to Zuffa and Turkey and Dana saying, "Okay, what have you got for us over there?" But I think this is going to be a takeover.
I don't. You say that, but the more I think about it, the more actually I'm thinking, possibly. But saying that, Zuffa really want to, Eddie Hearn said it, change the game. They really do want to change the game, but they want to change it and flip it upside their head. They're talking about changing weight classes, only having 8 weight divisions, having the Zuffa belt, working with sanctioning bodies, but primarily Zuffa Boxing. As I said to you last week, right, that sounds all well and good on paper, but how are you going to implement it in a sport which has such a diverse history as boxing? Some fighters are going to maybe sign for the money and then they're going to be like, no, but I want that WBC title. And that's when Eddie Hearn and yeah.
That's why, sorry to cut across you, that's why they're obviously trying to make changes to the Muhammad Ali Act. That's why they're trying to get fighters on 5 and 6 year deals, like literally the longest deals you can be on. So you're there, almost a bit like the UFC. You're there, you're in. This isn't a case
you're stuck with them.
You're in and and then you can go elsewhere. You're with us and you're with us, and then we can build you and create this league. They want to get as many fighters on board on these long-term contracts as possible, and then is when they can start all their new things they want to implement. It's going to be fascinating to see what happens. Honestly, it's going to be fascinating. But
if it works, man,
go on.
If it works, it turns the sport completely upside its head. Like this is like nothing we'll have seen in our lifetime of this sport. It would change everything.
What happens with Riyadh season then? Is that like, because I'm so confused. Is that the end of Riyadh season and Ring Magazine events? I mean, like, if not, why would Turkey, who clearly bankrolls Riyadh season and Ring Magazine events, why would they not just be on Zuffa? Is it because those fighters are under contract with said companies, Golden Boy, Matchroom, etc., so they can't be on Zuffa? But when those contracts end, I wonder if Riyadh season events end.
That's just what I was thinking as well, that if they want to do a big event that maybe Zuffa are a part of, but they're working with Eddie and Frank and Oscar, they have to put it under the Riyadh season banner. But if, as you were saying, Dana takes the majority of those big names and they're on Zuffa, it goes from Riyadh season to just Zuffa show. Because that's a bit what the WWE are doing. They're doing the Royal Rumble in Riyadh this weekend, and it's just WWE Royal Rumble in association with Riyadh. I think it'd be something like that in the future.
Interesting. I just, again, I've never, for someone that works in the sport of boxing as I do, right? I've never been so confused with it at the moment. I just find it like Netflix go in and out of the sport. Sky Sports now seem to be back with this Misfits Pro. You've got Zuffa. You've got obviously what Matchroom and Golden Boy are doing. Golden Boy's contract with DAZN seems to be up. Top Rank don't have a deal. You got this IV Boxing who came in, said a lot, and then haven't done anything. I don't know what they're doing. It just seems to be too many cooks in the kitchen at the moment. Too many cooks in the kitchen.
I think you hit the nail on the head with that, because if you think about it like this, it's getting confusing now at this stage. Because 1 week we're hearing IVB and they're going to do Usyk-Wilder in the summer. And then we're hearing Sky Sports, they're doing Wilder-Chisora. And then we're hearing Usyk's talking to Dana White. And you're just kind of like, what is actually going on? Because you're confusing all the fans who are from the outside looking in. Like, just keep it simple. What is actually going on? Who's fighting whom? And give us a timeline. That's all we want. We don't need all these, this guy's doing this, and this guy. Yeah, I don't care. You're promoters. What are the fighters doing?
Yeah.
That's what we need.
Yeah, And by the way, I didn't even mention PBC and Amazon Prime. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I find it very confusing. And if we find it confusing, can you imagine what a casual boxing fan thinks? They
But
must think,
that's
oh,
it.
what's going on?
You're losing the room with the hardcores, the people who religiously watch this. People like me and you, we're looking at this thinking, what the hell is going on? Imagine explaining to someone who watches maybe only the big events and maybe wants to get a bit more into it. Oh, there's this crowd called Ivy, and then you'd be just like, you'd lose the run of yourself trying to explain it to them. They're never going to get it. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. But look, let's hopefully some things clear up in the next few months or years, whatever. But right now, I just feel like, again, I think there's too much infighting, too many contract situations, too much nonsense. But let's park all that for a second, because on the weekend, we don't have nonsense, we have greatness. Because on the
Yes.
weekend, Madison Square Garden, we have Teofimo Lopez defending his status as the number one 140 pounder, coming up against arguably the future, maybe even the now, in Shakur Stevenson. This, ladies and gentlemen, is something special.
This is going to be amazing. You say the future. No, I say he is the now. Now, my biggest worry for this fight is that maybe it could be a bit anticlimactic in a sense of we could end up into a Bull versus Matador type of fight. I'm hoping we don't get that. I still have Shakur winning this fight. Handily, mind you.
Okay. You're wrong.
Okay. Enlighten me as to how I'm wrong.
You know what it is? I was thinking about this, and I did a video about it earlier. And I was thinking about Teofimo Lopez, and I was like, no one on planet Earth likes to fight southpaws, just because ultimately there are more orthodox fighters than southpaws, so it's very difficult. When you do see a southpaw, it's like rare, it's a unicorn. Like, fuck me. Teofimo Lopez has fought two southpaws and dismantled both of them in Loma and Josh Taylor. He's actually fought, in terms of skill for skill, a better southpaw than Shakur Stevenson, because I would argue Loma is more skillful than Shakur Stevenson. And he was able to find a way in which to dismantle one of the skillfulest southpaws we've ever seen in Loma. Found a way. Loma, the smaller man, coming up, just like Shakur, the smaller man coming up. And then, to add to that layer, he fought Josh Taylor, who, yes, maybe not the Josh Taylor, but still an unbeaten, skillful Josh Taylor. And he was able to dismantle him as well and find a way past that southpaw jab and that right hand. He's experienced in fighting southpaws. So it's not a fear for him. It's almost like, bring it on. I've fought two and I've beaten two pound for pounders, and I've beaten them both. Bring on whatever you've got to bring on. I think physically he's bigger. I think he's the better athlete. I think he probably hits harder. The only thing that Shakur has on him is boxing IQ and boxing ability. But let's not act like Tio's a slouch when it comes to boxing ability. So I think this is a lot closer than people think because of the experience Tio has in fighting southpaws.
Okay. Yeah, that was a very good point you made. Here's why you're wrong. Okay. Now, Loma and Josh Taylor could not be any more different stylistically than Shakur Stevenson. Loma will fight you kind of mid to close range. Teofimo Lopez likes that. He'll keep you on the outside with a jab. He'll hit you hard. He'll make you wary. And Loma was in his box for the first half of the fight. Josh Taylor fights at mid-range. He's never been Pernell Whitaker in terms of defense. And Teofimo really put it on that night. It all came together. Shakur is a mover. He's a slickster. He hardly ever gets hit. He keeps it at range. I believe Sandor Martin was also a southpaw. How did Teofimo do that fight? Not particularly well, and split decision. He got dropped.
Very interesting you mentioned the Sandor Martin fight. I think people have mentioned Sandor as though Sandor's a scrub. I thought Sandor beat Alberto Puello, who, by the way, was the world champion that I actually think beat Subriel Matias, but look, we're getting into semantics here. I thought that Sandor Martin loss at the time was a bad defeat. But in hindsight, even though he won, but I thought it was a bad performance. In hindsight, I don't think it's the worst performance from Tio. But sorry, the floor is yours still. My apologies.
It wasn't the worst performance, but Teofimo Lopez has shown me that when he has to really go and hunt you down, when you're not standing close to him or right in front of him, when he has to go and hunt you down, he's not the best at that. Like, you can outbox this guy. You can put him on the end of a jab. You can outbox him. And I think that's what Shakur is going to do. He's not going to probably take any risks because, as you say, he's coming up in weight. Teofimo hasn't been the biggest puncher at 140. He was bigger puncher at 135. Well, he's coming up from 135, Shakur. So he's going to be careful. He's going to be wary. But when he is on par, when he's on it defensively, he's on it. And I think boxing, I think he is the better boxer. And I think he'll just, it might not be the most pleasing on the eye, but I think he's just going to outbox, go in there, outbox Teofimo Lopez and win this fight comfortably, most likely on points. That's what I think.
One thing, yeah, and look, by the way, your thoughts are probably closer to how it's going to play out than mine. Let's be honest. I mean, Shakur goes in as a favorite, but I do wonder if the Tom and Jerry things got to him a little bit, whereby I feel like Shakur could easily fight on the back foot and win this and maybe not get touched. If he fights that way, boos will ring out in MSG. MSG has the hardcore of hardcore fight fans.
It's unforgiven.
New York, exactly. The New York fight fans pay their hard-earned money to see a fucking fight. They don't want to see that running shit and on the ropes, and they want to see a fight. So I feel like he could be forced to stand there and do what he did against Zepeda. If he does, then he gives Teo an opportunity. And I think that could happen. But you're right. If this is a boxing match and skill for skill, then, I mean, Shakur could be on the back foot and just, I mean, it could be punch perfect all night. But I thought that there's going to be a few boos and he's going to be forced to engage. If he engages, that's when he's...
All bets are off if he engages, man. All bets are off. And you mentioned a great point, which actually I didn't think of. Not only will they boo, we've seen in the past with MSG, if you are boxing negative, even in the first round, they are booing. They ain't even giving you a chance to get warmed up. They are booing you from the first round.
Yeah.
That's what they are.
They're on you. They're fans, and it's all their sports. It's across all their sports. I mean, I'm a big basketball fan. The Knicks, once they start playing bad basketball, they will literally start. I've seen them throw things on the court. Literally, they will start showing their disapproval. So, look, I think it's a great fight. You know what? Yeah, if Shakur wins, and I said this in my video, does he jump to pound for pound number 1 or 2?
He's up there. He's in the top 3. I would have Inoue and Usyk ahead of him still. I would.
Where is he now?
He's got to be, if he on the cusp of the top 5, if not already in it. Low top 5 or just on the cusp of it. If he beats Teofimo Lopez, then I can't deny Usyk and Inoue. Activity in Inoue, undisputed. Usyk, come on, a heavyweight, undisputed, everything. He's just below them two, with the possibility of overtaking them, depending on how the year goes.
Yeah, I've said this as well. I think if he were to beat Teo, he jumps above Bivol and Bam. I think those are the two maybe that might
absolutely.
Be if he dismantles Teo in the way in which you're saying he could do, where it's like literally a whitewash, then I might have to consider about moving him a couple of places higher, because he's ultimately gone in the division and he's fighting the number 1 division straight away. He's not having a warm up. He's not having, okay, let me see how this feels. He's going and fighting the big dog. Who is number 1? Teo, bring him over. And I think that there needs to be given some sort of consideration when I'm thinking about my pound for pound rankings.
That's a very good point, and you hit the nail on the head. He's not looking at, one of the guys in the division. He's not looking at Dalton Smith saying, "Oh, you're a new world champion. I might win." No, just give me the best. Give me the best now. I don't care. And to be honest with you, he's not really a 140 pounder, Shakur. I think 135 is his limit. So to be going up, giving away the height and reach, everything, giving away the size, he's not playing around, and I respect that so much about him. That's why I love watching him. Not from an entertainment point of view, because this is someone who doesn't care. It's a bit like Devin Haney. It's just like, have gloves, we'll fight. Who's the best? I want you.
Yeah. That's almost, as much as there's been a lot of talk about who Shakur fights and who Teo fights. If Shakur does win, I really want to see the Devin Haney fight. I think people now, all of a sudden, are starting to give Devin Haney the respect they should. Like Devin Haney's an incredible fighter and has a resume to back it up. And I almost feel like a 140 fight between him and Shakur, Devin can still make 140, let's be honest. A 140 fight between him and Shakur will be an enormous fight for America if Shakur comes through this. Don't get me wrong, there are going to be so many fighters ringside who want their opportunity in shot, but it really should be Devin if Shakur comes through.
I think so too. And I think that it might not be the most easy on the eye, because you're talking about two out and out boxers, but the skill on display. I mean, it would be a bit similar to Beterbiev Bivol. In one sense, you're talking about two elite of the elite. Like, it's going to be finite opportunities, finite misses. That's what makes it entertaining.
Yeah. Yeah, and that'd almost be the last two standing. If you think about this five kings of Javante,
Mm,
Tio, Ryan, and Devon and Shakur, it almost seems perfect that if it's two unbeaten fighters right at the end that meet each other.
mm-hmm,
I know Javante is unbeaten as well, but we don't know where Javante is. But two
mm,
unbeaten fighters meeting each other right at the end, because obviously Devon's no contest against Ryan, almost seems fitting to crown the best of that five. But look,
yep.
we'll see. I mean, that's all in the future. Josh Kelly, I go to Sunderland when I get back from Morocco. I'll go straight up there for Josh Kelly against Backram. Josh Kelly bidding to become a champion in the 154-pound division and takes on a monster in doing so.
Mm-hmm.
What percentage chance do you give Josh?
Do you know what? I wasn't giving him. I was giving him maybe a 20% chance up until I saw Backram hasn't fought since that Tim Tszyu fight over a year ago.
Yeah,
That me and he is a bit stiff. I don't think he's a naturally, out and out pressure fighter. So I'm giving Josh Kelly a 30% chance in there. It's still not great, but I give him a little bit more of a chance based on the inactivity of Backram and based on the fact that I think Josh Kelly, certainly early on, if he can maintain it, because he did it against Troy Williamson, but the big difference between Troy Williamson and Backram, if he can maintain the range, use his speed, he's going to have to fight a punch perfect fight. Let's be real. It's going to have to be
yeah,
punch perfect. Then he could do something in there.
yeah. I'm with you. When this fight was first announced or even first spoken about, I was like, absolutely no chance. Like
Mm,
Backram is going to run through him like a hot knife through butter. And then I looked at the inactivity of Backram, and then I thought about Josh Kelly versus Troy Williamson. And
mm.
I actually thought Troy was going to get to Josh as well. And
So did
again,
I.
look, Troy is not Backram, although Troy is on a run himself right now.
Mm-hmm,
The way in which he outboxed Troy that night suggests to me he can stick to it. Won't be easy, but he can stick to it. It's all about his legs here. If his legs are
mm-hmm.
built for 12 rounds, he's got a chance because he has much better boxing feet and speed and agility than Backram. But you almost feel like Backram's going to land something early, and it could be that.
And that's the
He
thing,
could
like we've
unravel
seen.
straight away.
Exactly, because we've seen it nearly happen with Josh Kelly against Ishmael Davis. Do you remember that when he
Yeah,
fought him on the undercard of Joshua Dubois? Going fine, gets a bit tired, 12th round comes, literally an extra 10, 15 seconds. God knows what might have happened. So we've seen it
yeah,
happen before when he lost to Avanesian. He started so well and then he fell apart so quick. He can fall away. And Troy Williamson is a very good fighter, but Backram is different. Like this guy is dangerous. So if he really decides to put it on Josh Kelly, if he realizes I'm losing, I'm getting outboxed, let's go for it. If he can do that successfully, I can just see Josh Kelly unraveling, despite the fact it's at
yeah,
home.
yeah. And Backram's a big 154 pounder as well.
He is.
I mean, let's not forget Josh 5 years ago was a 147 guy. Don't get me wrong, he's a big
Mm-hmm.
guy himself. He's built up into the weight. But Backram, I mean, he would have to cut his leg off to make 147. That's how big a 154 pounder he is. I give Josh a chance, and I guess that's all we can give him. And let's go up
Mm-hmm.
there and see what he can do. But this would be one hell of a victory because all of a sudden, Eddie's dangling the carrot of Boots Ennis for Josh Kelly.
Yep.
It's almost like you win the world title and then you got your lottery ticket because the Boots fight will be a big money fight. So let's see what Josh can do.
I'm wishing him all the best. I'm not picking him to win, but if he does, I hold my hands up and I'll say fair play. Fair
Okay.
play.
All right. Final subject, and this
Mm-hmm.
is an interesting story. You've kind of brought this to my attention. I saw it and I almost skipped it because it hasn't been signed. There's been a lot of rumors. I think Johnny Fisher's agreed to it. Obviously, TKV is certainly going to agree to this, and that's Johnny Fisher fighting for the British heavyweight title. You laugh, so I know. Be kind, G-man. Be kind. I feel like you're going to absolutely run over Johnny Fisher here.
Well, no, I think Jamie TKV, if the fight happens, will run over Johnny Fisher. I think that's a knockout right there. Um, Listen, Johnny Fisher is coming off the back of a very shaky performance in Monaco against I think he was unbeaten or he was certainly obscure and a loss. Is that really going to get you a British title fight? I shouldn't, but I
Yeah,
suspect it's because others ahead of him have just said no, or they haven't wanted it, or they haven't had ideal preparation. I've said it once, I'll say it again about Johnny Fisher. Nothing but respect. Admire him. He's a trier. History degree. Could have done something easier. But if you're losing to and getting splattered against Dave Allen, and bear in mind, Dave Allen couldn't lay a glove on Fraser Clark when they fought. Jamie TKV just beat Fraser Clark. Okay. And as well as that, when you fought that guy in Monaco, I mean, you were nearly out in the first round. You're going to go from that to fighting Jamie TKV, who, although he lost the fight, was absolutely boxing the head off of David Adelaide, who's a really good heavyweight, one of the best in the UK. I just see this going one way for Johnny Fisher, and that's a KO defeat.
Yeah, look, I think anyone, even Johnny's hardest fans, would expect Jimmy TKV to win this. I mean, Jimmy TKV fought in a style against Fraser Clark that I haven't seen him fight before. I was there for the Adelaide fight, and I didn't realize how aggressive he can be. He's a big puncher, can take a whack as well. And I mean, Johnny's success would be to knock him out. I mean, this guy ate Fraser Clark's punches. So I don't know if that's even possible. But also on the flip side, if this comes across your table and you're Johnny Fisher and your dreams to fight for a British title, it must be difficult to say no. Because there are harder opponents that you could have fought a couple of years ago for a British title. I mean, you could have fought Fabio Woodley. Do you know what I mean? You could have fought Adelaide. Punchers, like real punchers.
Yeah.
So on paper, this, no disrespect to TKV, this might be the easiest one of all the options that were there a couple of years back. I think TKV would win, and I think he will win. But I don't know how you turn it down. It's a difficult one to turn down because it might not come around again.
And that's the problem. I think at the end of the day, we've seen what happened when Johnny Fisher even just had a confidence builder, how, that almost ended in disaster. If your dream is to fight for the British title and to win it, I mean, even if you take another confidence builder, you don't know what might happen. You genuinely don't. You don't know what might happen. So I get it. I do get it. I think that in terms of the guys on the domestic scene in Britain, Jamie TKV, he probably isn't, in my opinion, is an easier touch in comparison to the likes of David Adelaide, the likes of Fabio Wardley, just to what they've gone on to do. Yeah. But I still think this is a bridge too far. I think that, maybe English title, yeah, maybe, but British. And then if he wins it, you see, that's not the thing. If he wins it, who then does he face? Because the British scene is pretty damn good.
If he wins it, that's it. Not that that's it in terms of retirement, but then the achievement's done. Almost a bit like a world champion and then never, defending the belt, but you've won it. Mm-hmm. That's it. It'd almost be like when Darren Barker beat Gill to become a world champion. I never thought Darren Barker was going to beat Felix Sturm in Germany, but that's it. Barker was a world champion, has been a world champion, box ticked. I think this is almost like his world title fight. So if he wins
that's a good point.
and he gets splattered after by everyone, then I was British champion and I never even expected to become that. As you said, smart guy, was doing rugby. This has been an up and down career. I mean, if he were to land the punch from the gods against TKV, who, by the way, took a hell of a punishment, a slacking against Fraser Clark.
Oh, so, yeah.
I mean, he's not good. He's not 100% himself, but yeah, TKV, I think will win, and I'll be shocked if he doesn't. But I don't blame Johnny for taking it. I don't.
I think if the fight happens, as long as the fight goes, we'll be entertained. So if nothing else, we're going to enjoy this fight, regardless of what happens.
Indeed. No, indeed, we will. How's the channel going, G-Man?
I know about you, but I just, this month's been a bit slow. I think with with some of the events being cancelled, like at Telma, I think it's been a slower month than others, growth-wise. I kind of thought it'd be doing a little bit better, but I think maybe I need to just maybe try a little bit harder and try and improve things. But, it's been going steady. It's the best way I could say.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's been a quiet start to the year over here for us.
Over here.
Again, I went to Germany. There's big fights in America. Zuffa Boxing. These are all things outside of this country. And I think both of our channels, they're international channels, but if we look at our analytics, all the numbers really come from the UK. And there isn't much going on in the UK. I think you're right. The Moses Tama thing kind of put a bit of a downer on all of us. Let's hope Josh Kelly can bring in something. Let's hope others can do. But we have got some big fights coming up. We've got the one in Dublin, which is going to be incredible. Kakache versus Jazza Dickens. We've got Lee Wood versus Josh Warrington, which I think will be chaos.
I love that fight. I can't wait for that fight.
Same. So I think we're good. What we need is some of these bloody heavyweights to get going, and then I think your channel will be back up and booming. I think
I
that's all
think
we need.
we need the announcement on what's happening with Wilder versus Chisora. We need Tyson Fury to announce his fight. I'm
Yeah,
more just looking forward to seeing who he actually fights. I'm just dying to see, right, he's going to fight this guy, so we can just say categorically, that's the guy. I can't wait for
yeah,
that.
yeah. I think we need Daniel Dubois announcement. We certainly need a Fabio
Mm-hmm.
Wardley announcement because, especially with Fabio now, it's all changed. You're a world champion now.
Yep.
I mean, you have to start. Whereas Fabio has always been the guy, at least in recent times, where people have made offers to Fabio. Now it's Fabio having to make offers to them because you're the champion.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see what Fabio does next as well. But I think it's going to be a good year for boxing. It's going to be an up and down, kind of year, but ultimately it'll still be a very, very good year for boxing. Guys, thank you so much as always for tuning in. You guys know what to do. Please, if you're still watching this, I should have said this at the start of the video, please subscribe to Gman's channel. Loads of stuff. Can't wait to get back into the studio with him. Might have some good news coming when it comes to that as well, but I'll keep you guys posted. And Gman, thank you so much for doing this. The missus is now desperate to go out and eat. So I've got to leave.
I should be thanking you. You're doing it from Morocco in a hotel.
I'm doing
Man,
it from
that's
Morocco
crazy.
in a hotel
We
room.
don't
But we
play
got
around here. We never miss a show. We
this
don't
is
play
it.
around.
This is exactly what I'm talking about. The missus is had to step out of the room whilst I'm recording this, and I'm still like, still doing an hour-long episode. I mean, Jesus Christ. All right, G-Man. Peace, brother.
Enjoy, man. All the best.